So welcome everybody to this launch webinar for ready2LOOP for product retailers and wholesalers. We're really excited to launch this value chain layer, as we call it, on the ready2LOOP platform. And today we're going to be hosting you from this perspective. My name is McAloone. I'm professor and project lead of the ready2LOOP project. Daniela Pigosso is co-lead of the project ready2LOOP, and Giovana Gomes is the brain behind the platform and the layers and the readiness assessment profile. And then in addition to the three of us from DTU, we have our two consultancy partners with us today. We have Nikki Bai from Bamboo, and then we have Johannes Chen from Vegan Mo. So let's make a start. We have a lot to share with you, and we're quite excited to show you what the profile and the platform is about, and in particular with the layer for product retailers and wholesalers. So without further ado, on to you, Daniela.
Yes, thank you very much. And if you've ever been to Copenhagen, I'm sure that you've been to that street. This is one of the most popular streets in Copenhagen, and it's actually the biggest shopping street in Europe. And at this street, there are a number of different shops that receive guests year after year. So just to give you an idea on how boosting that is, every summer, that street receives about 80,000 people a day. And in Christmas, it actually goes up to 120 people a day. And what they are doing there in many different occasions is actually to buy new products, new services, or new solutions that will satisfy their needs. And if we take one single person in this picture and we try to zoom in a little bit to understand how much every person actually in Denmark is consuming, then we can start looking at some quite interesting numbers. The first one I'd like to share with you is the average resource consumption in Denmark. Back in 2023, so last year, it reached 22.5 tons per person for the year of 23. And this number has never been bigger, and it keeps growing year after year. It really shows the high consumption power in Denmark. And if we were to translate this into a more tangible measure, that would relate to 20 compact cars per person per year. That's really a lot. And what happens is that we are not only consuming a lot, but we are actually not yet really good in circling back those products when they reach the end of life. And in fact, last year as well, we had for the first time a measure for how circular the Danish economy is, and the number is not very high. So right now we are actually only 4% circular in Denmark, which means that from those 20 cars that we are consuming per person every year, only about 0.8 of those cars are actually being circled back in terms of the recycling of materials and so on. But this also comes with a very big recognition from consumers and shoppers on the overall sustainability performance of their choices, but also of the products that they are buying. So this is an interesting data I'd like to share with you. About 60% of shoppers, they are actually concerned about the resource consumption and about overall sustainability when they decide from which shops or brands or retailers to buy from. And if we go one step further in this data, what we also see is that despite this interest for having more sustainable choices, about 63% of the Danish population still find it difficult to navigate and really understand what's the environmental impact of their alternative choices so that they can make a purchasing decision. And this all actually highlights the very important role that retailers and wholesalers have in driving sustainable and circular consumption, not only in Denmark, but in the world overall. And we would say, together with the Danish Chamber of Commerce, that retail has a really unique possibility for pushing toward this green transition, providing consumers the choice, but also the power so that they can change their overall consumption behavior. And this is exactly the reason why we are here today, because what happens is that most product retailers and wholesalers, they don't really know how ready they are for making this transition for circular. So over the past 6 months or so, we've been working very hard to come up with this new layer of the ready2LOOP platform that aims to provide the knowledge, the tools, and the insights to retailers and wholesalers on, first of all, how ready they are to transition to a circular economy, but also what are the next steps and tools that they can take to have a successful transition as well. And this is exactly what we'd like to present to you today with the launch of the product retailers and wholesalers layer. And to talk more about the details of it, I'd like to invite Giovana. And she's going to go through the key methodology, so how we did it, but also how can we measure readiness of retailers and wholesalers. So over to you, Giovana.
Thank you very much, Daniela. We are indeed very excited to share our developments with this new layer. But first, I think it is important for us to discuss what actually we consider as product retailers and wholesalers. And according to our definition, are those companies that mostly focus on sourcing, stocking, and providing finished products to consumers, including to other companies, to governments, and to end consumers. And when we say that these companies provide finished products, it's not only as products, not only selling products, but also leasing or renting these products. And as you mentioned, Daniela, we do envision that product retailers and wholesalers can set circular economy requirements in the value chain. They can understand the requirements from their customers and pass these requirements to the upstream value chain, to product manufacturers, to material providers, for instance, but they can also promote circular solutions to their customers. They can also influence their customers' behaviors towards circular economy. So that's why we think it is very important for those players to transition to a circular economy. And although we were talking here about a specific layer of the value chain, within ready2LOOP, we approach 8 different layers from material providers, component manufacturers, product manufacturers, packaging manufacturers, logistic providers, product retailers and wholesalers, maintenance and repair services, and value recovery companies to transition together towards the circular economy. So we understand that collaboration is key in the circular economy transition. But today, we are launching specifically product retailers and wholesalers. And before we present the questions and the dimensions that we have gathered, we would like to answer this question. So what does the transition to circular economy for product retailers and wholesalers look like? And although this might seem like an easy question to answer, or it must be simple for companies to do the transition, we went through a true methodological process to answer this question and to gather the insights that we're going to present here today. This methodological process is the same, is a standardized process that we use for our development for all the value chain layers. And it starts with a literature review and an internal validation workshop. For the literature review, we started with 298 articles that were analyzed, and we extracted data from 81 of those articles. And this data was also complemented with 33 case studies. The results that we gathered from this initial step was evaluated by our internal internal experts, researchers here at the Technical University of Denmark, and they evaluated the clarity and the relevance of the results that we gathered. After their feedback is inputted, and then we have an external validation workshop. So we invite external collaborators working within the product retailers and wholesalers sector. And then during this time, we had 11 experts within 6 organizations. And as a result of their feedback, we could finalize our set of questions and dimensions. So for this layer, we have 33 questions gathered in 7 different dimensions. But that's not the end of our work on the content of a value chain. Further on, we developed the recommendations that we are going to give companies in different settings of the value chain. And we also identified the tools that can help these organizations transition to a circular economy. So for this layer, we have developed 165 sets of recommendations, and we have suggested over 6 tools to enhance the transition to a circular economy. And now we are, in terms of content, ready to launch this new layer. So we have for this new layer, as I said, 7 dimensions, and it's very exciting to present you these dimensions for the first time. The first dimension, it is organization, that measures the organizational capabilities to develop skills to transition to a circular economy. We also have strategy and business model innovation. So how ready the companies are to develop strategies and business model according to circular economy principles. Then we have sourcing and operations. That is how ready the companies are to establish sourcing requirements for their upstream value chain, and also how ready they are to operate circularly. Then we have customer relations, dimension that was identified as extremely relevant to product retailers and wholesalers. And here we are measuring if the companies are establishing those relationships with their customers to enhance the transition to a circular economy by both raising awareness of customers, but also influencing and boosting their behavior. Another very important dimension for product retailers and wholesalers is technology and data. And here we are measuring and are understanding how far organizations are in using technology and data to boost and to guide their transitions toward the circular economy. Then we have take back and end-of-life strategies, a dimension that looks into if the companies are ready to offer or ready to support their partners to offer take back and end-of-life strategies. And finally, the 7th dimension is policy and market. And here we understand if the companies understand their market readiness and they are able to influence it, but also if they are influencing policies regarding circular economy. So to start, we can go to the organization dimension. And here we have 5 questions. We call them aspects. And these aspects measure how ready companies, the leadership of companies are into committing to a circular economy transition, to what extent the companies are allocating organizational resources to transition to circular economy, to what extent the organizations are both mapping their stakeholders and their stakeholders' interest to transition to a circular economy, if the organizations are assessing the risks to both stay in a linear economy, and also if they are managing the risks of their circular economy transition, and then if they are developing training programs to enhance the skills, the capabilities, and the competencies of their employees. And as an example, we have Tesco, which is a British food retail company. And Tesco is employing some circular economy programs, for instance, to reduce the resource consumption in their operations and to reduce the use of single-use packaging. And the difference here is that the Tesco's C-level executives are really involved in the circular economy efforts, and this involvement is both internal and external. And this brings an organizational culture around circular economy that's very important internally, but also shows the commitment externally. And then Tesco has more power to influence their value chain partners and collaborators, for instance. The next dimension is strategy and business model innovation. We also have 5 questions concerning organization-wide strategy that is second-hand business or offering circular products. If they are, or to what extent they are offering additional services or even supporting partners to offer additional service that can enhance the circularity of products. This could be repair. If they are using insights from consumer behavior to develop these new value propositions, if they understand the acceptability and the willingness of their customers to behave circularly into their new value propositions. So this is very important. And of course, if they are developing new cost structures and revenue streams according to their new value propositions. And as an example, we have ShopFit that offers bike leasing options. And with this bike leasing option, ShopFit, of course, has to develop new cost structures. But more than that, ShopFit and the store doesn't charge for it, offers these additional services. So customers can, to an extent, customize their bikes. And then there's this feeling that the customer should take more care of the bike, but also the ShopFit offers repair services and offer these other kinds of maintenance services throughout the leasing of the bikes. So it's a really nice example of how a retailer can enhance and develop new circular business models. The third dimension is sourcing and operations. And here we are investigating if the companies, or to what extent the companies are offering circular products, if they are setting requirements to their upstream value chain to have circular materials or other products, if the companies are establishing buyback programs with product manufacturers or material providers, that is programs that you can manage the products that are not being sold or that are in a, let's say, dead stock. We can also measure if the companies are using circular packaging. That means avoiding single use or using recycled packaging. If they are operating circularly, if they are reducing the use of resources throughout their operations, and if they are managing their inventory to avoid the scrapping of products, how they are managing seasonal products or products that are not being sold as it was forecasted. And as an example, we have Lush. That's a retail brand of hygiene and soap bars, this kind of products. And they are widely known for avoiding the use of single-use packaging. And of course, that's only possible because they have the solid products. But then this is another example on how to that the collaboration with other value chain partners, for instance, product manufacturers, can enhance your own circular operation. The fourth example here is concerning the fourth dimension, is concerning customer relations. And here we investigate to what extent the organizations are establishing long-lasting relationships to enhance a circular economy with their customers. If they are engaging into raising the awareness of their customers concerning circular economy, and if they are engaging their customers with circular economy behaviors, how they are promoting circular economy behavior. And as an example, we have Nudge Jeans that promotes circular behavior among its customers. So Nudge Jeans offers a variety of denim products, and throughout the physical stores, web stores, social media, Nudge Jeans actually promotes a circular way of living. So promotes clothing as a durable product, and a product that should be taken care of and repaired when needed. And of course, that's only possible because Nudge Jeans also offers products that are durable and offers services to repair in their stores. So this is a combination of efforts to promote this circular behavior. Concerning technology and data, that was highlighted as a really important dimension to retailers and wholesalers. And here we are understanding to what extent the companies share the technical data with their value chain partners, both upstream and downstream. If they are using technology to collect data on their customers' patterns, behavioral patterns, for instance, if they are using technology and data to enhance their customer experience with circular products and offerings, if they are using technology and data to promote, to develop circular solutions, to what extent they are using technology and data to manage stock and warehouse facilities to avoid the waste, to what extent they are using technology and data to improve logistic operations and then also reduce resource consumption, and how far they are in monitoring the products throughout their life cycle, using, of course, technology and data. And as an example, we have here ThreadUp, that is a second-hand thrift shop, a digital thrift shop in the US, and they use RFID technology to track and to process 4 million pieces per day. And they can do this in this high volume because of the use of digital technologies. And besides using this to process this amount of clothing, they can also offer to brands and other retailers the technology, so those brands can do the same internally within their own scope. And then we have take back and end of life strategies. So how far the organizations are in offering or supporting their partners to offer take back programs, how far they are in incentivizing their customers to participate in those programs. And it doesn't need to be necessarily a financial incentive. It could be something, a promotion in social media or other kinds of incentives, and how far they are in promoting the recirculation of products, parts, and materials collected through these take-back programs. And as an example, we have Matas, that here in Denmark has a return system program to collect empty beauty, health, and wellness products across the country. And since 1995, Matas has this program, but very recently, Matas return system has been able to close the loop and to direct these empty bottles to be recycled as packaging. So they are closing the loop from packaging to packaging. And finally, we have policy and market as the seventh dimension. And here we investigate how ready the companies are to influence the market readiness of either circular products or packaging or circular packaging to the customers. To what extent they collaborate across the value chain, they establish collaborations and they develop solutions together with these partners. To what extent these organizations influence sectoral frameworks to improve the implementation of circular economy, and also how they influence national and international policies also concerning circular economy. And as our final example, we have H&M, that is a Swedish retailer, garment retailer. And H&M doesn't produce, doesn't design, doesn't recycle the garments, but it is in the company is in a very special position to influence and coordinate all these stakeholders. So the company has a say on how a garment can be designed. It has a say on the production facilities, but it also influences how customers accept or not circular products. It influences the take-back systems and coordinates all these activities together with its value chain. So it's a very nice example of how this value chain collaboration and coordination can happen. I think, yeah, we went through all of the dimensions and questions from our new layer. So over to you, Daniela.
Thank you. And it's super exciting to see all of those 7 dimensions and how many different things companies can actually make in the retailers and wholesaler sector to make this transition to a circular economy. But then the biggest question is, how ready are you as a company to start making this transition by evaluating your overall readiness for circular economy, and then on the basis of that, plan the next steps so that you can become not only more ready, but also more sustainable. And now I have an invitation to make it to you. We've just made available this new layer in our platform in ready2LOOP.org. And in the platform, you will have access to the retailers and wholesalers layer. It is the area highlighted in green. As soon as you log in, then you're going to have access to all of the questions Giovana just went through, and then you can make your evaluation to your company. As soon as you finish the evaluation, there will be 3 main results that we would like to bring your attention to. The first one is the overall readiness profile, which will tell you where are the biggest strengths, but also the improvement opportunities to enhance your circularity readiness. Together with that, there comes a benchmarking module, which allows you to benchmark your company with other similar companies in the same sector, the same region, the same size of organization, and so forth. And this provides super important information to help you in understanding how far ahead or behind you are in relation to competitors, so that you can finally go to the final step, which is to do a prioritization. So to define where to focus according to your business strategy, but also according to the external environment that you are part of. And then on the basis of that, define how can we actually move forward, and what are the specific tools, methods, and approaches that you can use to accelerate your transition. And in the platform, we have more than 200 different tools. So I'm really sure that the one that you need to make your transition is also there available. So please, it's totally open and free to use. And we'd really encourage to try it out, to invite as many colleagues as you have in your organization, so that you can have a very comprehensive profile and understanding of your circularity potential and also the current practice. And just before I give it over to Tim to have a discussion session, I want to talk a little bit more about ready2LOOP as a project. So we are from the Technical University of Denmark, DTU, leading the project. It's being funded and financed by the Industry Foundation. We have 3 super important organizations in our steering committee: the Manufacturing Academy of Denmark, the Danish Business Authority, and also the Confederation of Danish Industry. And we also have 2 consultancy companies represented today by Nikki and Ja, which will discuss and bring some extra insights to you in relation to how to make this transition in the product retailers and wholesalers sector. So without any extra information, I'd like to give it back to you, Tim, so that we can have the discussion.
Daniela, and thanks, Giovana, for the really nice walkthrough of all the different dimensions on our new layer of ready2loop, which we're super excited about. So the question is, now we've just launched the new layer, and what's next? And before I do that, actually, I'd like to say something I forgot to say in the start, that if you have any questions and you're on the Zoom link, then feel free to post them in the Q&A. And also a big welcome to all of those of you who are watching through the LinkedIn live stream as well, which is really nice to see you there. So what's next on the ready2loop platform? So you can see that today we're launching the value chain layer, which is for retailers and wholesalers. If we take the next slide, Giovana. Yeah, so we have the product retailers and wholesalers, and now we're seeing that there's like only two faded ones left. We have the value recovery companies, material providers, component manufacturers, product manufacturers, and packaging manufacturers. So all the pieces of the puzzle are almost completed. We have 6 out of the 8 value chain layers represented now on the ready2loop platform. What is next? The next step is for us, already in May actually, is to launch the next layer again, which you could say in a lot of ways it's the glue between all the different layers, the logistics providers. And if we're going to really achieve a true circular economy, then we need to actually be able to have logistics, not just forward logistics, but also reverse logistics to get components and products and materials back, but also packaging. So this is a layer which we're really excited about launching as well in May this year. And then the final layer on the platform is due to start or due to be launched in September this year, which is for maintenance and repair service companies. And I think that maintenance and repair service companies see themselves as true enablers of circular economy already, and they are indeed. But how can we actually see the readiness for maintenance and repair service companies to become even more integrated into all the other different value chain layers? So the next thing that's going to happen after we've completed these 2 layers by September is we exactly start to look at the value chain layers. So once we've completed the layer releases, which you see on the left-hand side of the screen here, that will be done by September. The next thing that we're starting to work on is to look at how do we actually enable the cooperation and collaboration between these 8 value chain layers. And our end game for the ready2loop project is to actually be able to facilitate you could say, the readiness assessment for each individual company type in the 8 value chain layers, but also, and really importantly, is for us to facilitate the cooperation between the layers. It's we say this very often in the ready2loop project, that a true circular economy will only be possible if we have all the value chain layers both represented, but also cooperating and collaborating. So this is the next part of the project once we've completed the other layer releases. Just to show you and give you some inspiration as to what the platform is being used for, or rather who is using the platform, we can see that these companies that we're about to show you now, they're actually the ones, or some of the ones, that are already using the ready2loop platform, or have used the ready2loop platform to assess their current readiness level, to make the prioritization as to what they should change and what they should improve on based upon their current level, to define their transition paths to become even better at being ready to be on the road to circular economy, and then actually to start to transition. And what you'll see on the platform as well, that over the short term, you'll be also able to, you could say, do a benchmark among your own readiness improvements. So you can see, where were we when we started our readiness assessment? We go through a transition path, and how ready are we now? That's something else that will add on to this. But you can see we have quite an impressive number of companies, and this is just a small representation of the companies we have on, and this is growing day by day. So this is hopefully some inspiration for you as to what types of organizations are using the ready2loop platform. That was all from the presentation part of the ready2loop launch of the new layer. What I'd like to do now is to open for Q&A. And you can still bring the Q&A, and we're very happy to have our two consultants partners from Vegan Mo and from Ambul. So first Nikki from Ambul and Jar from Vegan Mo. And we've actually have some questions already, and I'd like to start with those questions. And if any of you who are on the Zoom link have a further question, please feel free to write it in the Q&A now, and we'll see if we can prioritize that too, and our facilitator will push those questions to me. So the first question, and maybe if this is one I'd like to ask you, Nikki, it's a question about how circular economy in fact affects retailers and wholesalers, because I think that the question is probably coming from someone who can understand the effect of circular economy on a manufacturing company, or the role that a logistics provider has, or the effect of non-circularity of packaging and so forth. But what on earth does circularity have to do with retailers and wholesalers, is this question. Can you shed any light on this for us, Nikki?
Thank you. First of all, thanks for having me, and also Jar for this very exciting webinar. As Giovana actually presented, there's a whole range of let's say factors where a retailer can affect actively or is being affected passively by circular economy. And folding out this part, it's of course there's always a, let's say, direct effect in-house, for instance, in terms of take back solutions. We saw the examples of what does it actually mean to be able to take back and store it and maybe make, you know, another value stream out of waste. But on the other hand, there's also this passive part where, for instance, a regulation for companies comes in and can be considered the pressure on the company. So there's both active and passive aspects of this. And maybe to emphasize, this is basically on the side of the company, of the retailer, of the wholesaler, to identify what is actually what's our take on this, what do we want with this, and where do we want to go. And this is this transition path which Daniela explained would be the extension of this collaboration. So in many different ways. That's maybe the
order. Yeah, and I know that if any of you can spell or recognize the acronym CSRD, I think that's another reason why retailers and wholesalers should be actually watching out for circular economy as well, because so it affects in that way from a reporting perspective, and that will come as well. Thanks, Nikki. Next question I have, maybe I can field this to you, Jar. So this is about the value that circular economy actually provides. So the question reads, what value does circular economy provide for a company? For example, a retailer. So what is the reason to do this? They don't necessarily do it just out of the goodness of their heart and for the right reasons. I hope they also do. But what value does it actually provide for them if they're proactive and starts as a retailer to look at circular economy?
Yeah, thanks for the invitation for the Q&A session as well, and a very interesting webinar with the launch. I'm very excited to see another layer being launched and increasing the outreach to more value chain layers. And great question. I think the first connection I would like to make is to actually what Daniela said in the beginning about consumer behavior and the possibility for the retailers to change or participate in giving or providing more value to the consumers, or if you're a wholesaler, to the business-to-business consumer or the client in that way, because there's actually increasing focus from the customers on more sustainable products or solutions or services. So if they have not met it already, they will get that request very soon. Even the consumers that are non-experts within sustainability, it's starting to bubble up as small talks at home with colleagues and so forth. and they're more critical towards the decisions when they are in the store or when they buy things online. So there will be one way to creating more maybe competitive products if they increase more circular solutions or strategies, so they can actually offer better or more sustainable products. And the second part is actually how also consumer related, but people are increasingly returning products, or they buy more products online, and then they decide not to have it anymore, or something is defect and they send it back to the retailer. And how do they actually handle that? How do they just dispose them? Do they throw them out, landfill them, or what's called incinerate these products? What do they actually have to do with that? And there's actually a great value in utilizing those products with a wide range of circular strategies. They can repair them or change some. If the phone or a computer is defect, they can change maybe the keyboard or the screen and actually sell that product again, instead of just disposing that product afterwards, and actually gaining some revenue as well. So I think those are two perspectives of what kind of value it can provide. And obviously there's a whole range of circular strategies that a retailer, wholesaler can dive deep into, and they can maybe also expand into new business areas and offer new services as well, that can generate more growth and also revenue as well. Yeah.
Nikki, next question for you. What types of retailers will mostly be affected? So I guess the retailer is a very, very broad term. It's sales and wholesales of just about anything. But which would you say, in your experience and your insight, would be the ones that should really be bringing up their ears for circularity possibilities to help them in their business?
Yeah, thank you. Also a very key aspect. Basically, you can say it's on the one hand, it's all retailers in one way or another. But to point out a couple of, let's say, areas, electronics, for instance, would be something, because that's an area where you have high, let's say, frequency in changing products. So everything is new. We want to have a new phone every other year, every third year. So it's a high fluctuation, so to say, in the products, and retailers of that type, electronics, would then be to a higher extent, let's say, both have this opportunity we talked about earlier, but also the pressure from markets, customers, and legislation to do something. And we see that already, that retailers take back phones and even give consumers money back, for instance. So electronics retailers, definitely. Same goes for white goods, in terms of, again, high material value, and this entire service around not just installing let's say, the washing machine at the customer, but also taking it back. And then textiles, also an example which was mentioned already by Giovana, being this, again, an area with very high production volumes and short life cycles. And so the textile industry as such is, of course, in very high focus. And here's both, again, an opportunity and also an obligation, or a challenge, you can say. And then through this, when I say it's all retailers as such, it's really the entire packaging area, which is, so to say, goes across all, whatever, if it's food, beverages, or regular supermarket, or it's any kind of, also Jar mentioned just internet e-business. So packaging is really a cross-cutting big theme. So everyone who's basically using packaging, we had one example without single-use packaging, but packaging area is definitely the case. And one thing I'd like to mention, relatively new, is DIY markets. So do-it-yourself markets for building materials, where you see a growing, let's say, articulation, simply stating where products come from and inform this. So four different examples where it's really important, but in general, through packaging, it's really across the entire board.
Very nice. Thank you, Nikki. So I think if we're fast, we have 2 questions left that I think we should be able to squeeze in. So the next one for you, Jar, is what are the typical challenges for retail companies in working with CE today? So it's all very nice that we have all these opportunities and so forth, but let's face it, it's not that easy. So necessarily, what do you see as being the main challenges for circular economy to be implemented by retail companies in particular?
I think that the one I'm going to mention is not only for retailers, is a broad across the whole board, but it's basically where to start. How do I pick a strategy, or how do I what can I actually do in operational context, right? As a company, because you have all these kind of input streams in a company. You have all these kind of products you purchase or sell. So what can you actually do systematically? So that's also the answer is actually to create a understanding of circular economy in depth, and find out how ready different parts of the company, the retail company or the wholesaler company is actually, and how much outreach can they get to the clients or the consumers. And that also relates to, of course, the challenges of finding the right resources in organization, or the lack of the resources or the skills. So that's also one of the challenges, to find the persons that actually have time and the knowledge, or the capacity to build the knowledge of implementing these strategies. So where to start and what to pick is maybe also the challenge, and also increasing focus on different strategies, of course, from the management, maybe also in terms of there's sustainability in general, eco-design, there's climate strategies, there's ESG related to the new directive, of course, and now circular economy. So the prioritization of which one to focus on now or at the same time. So
there's a lot to take in and a lot to adopt to. Yeah. Thank you, Jan. Okay, so I have a last question now that we have time for, I think, and maybe if you'd both like to chip in on this one, and maybe you first, Niggy. So the question goes, how do you see circular economy implementation in the future? So if you have a crystal ball looking into where we are today, it's been around as a challenge or a campaign rather, for actually quite some time now. I think 2015 was when circularity really broke through onto the general market, if you can say it in that way. How do you see it going forward in the future?
Well, yeah, of course. Thanks. Super important question. Well, we from our perspective, it's definitely going to have a growing interest. That's one thing, and that's both from due to, let's say, requirements from markets, customers, but also, as we also already mentioned, from legislation, from documentation requirements, from even let's say requirements, performance requirements, either given by law or by some value chain collaboration. So definitely higher interest, and also definitely higher focus on data. You had this special dimension actually about data and technology. I think this is looking into the future. This being able to document performance and being able to then communicate and say, hey, we are at this and that percentage. Daniela had the figure for entire Denmark. 22 tons per person in Denmark. But yeah, these kind of numbers will be more and more required in order to simply say transparently, that's where we are, that's what we do, and then also again looking into the future, being able to say what's our plan around this. So what do we want to do? And I just also would like to say one thing on this. In this thing, it's not going to be only the big retailers, the multinationals. We work with them. That also with let's say the grocery store at the corner, being affected by this, again, through packaging or through the product types that are increased. So basically, somehow a rolling system where it's very, very good to be prepared to know as a wholesaler, let's say, organization, to know where are the let's say levers that we can use and what's our take on this. So basically through a process like you just designed here in this layer and ready2loop, to understand where am I, what can I do, and what where do I want to go. So this is simply a thing we see in the future, definitely.
Thank you, John. If
more
you
and
have
more
any last inputs to this question before we round up?
Yeah, I'll just add a few comments. I definitely agree with Nikki from the legislative side and documentation. It's the question about when, because it's a big part of the new directive, CSRD and ESG reporting. So at some point it's going to hit. So if you, as a company, as a retailer, wholesaler, manage to actually capture that opportunity, it's fantastic. I also see the other sides of not just the legislation, but also the consumer side or the client side, because retailers and wholesalers, they actually meet the final consumers face to face. So they will also face the legislation and the consumers and the pressure from both. So the earlier you can manage as a company organization to have a strategy for circular economy, the better, because people are getting increasingly more, as I mentioned before earlier, focused on sustainable products and circular products. And even though they're non-experts, they're becoming more critical to what they are purchasing, especially on lifestyle products, design products that cost more, maybe also in the what's called in the lower range as well. But especially the whole market is moving towards more a push from the consumers, and it's a big sleeping tiger, especially for those in the high quality and lifestyle and design industry. Yeah.
Many thanks, Jar, Nikki, for participating here and giving us some insights into the ins and outs of the possibilities and the challenges, but also the inevitabilities of circularity coming to the retail industry. And I know that if any of you that are watching are interested in having some support on your journey to circularity or increased circularity, then both Vegan Moore and Amber are our partners in Denmark on the project. So if you're based in Denmark and would like some help with accelerating your readiness, then please reach out to them, and you can do that via the ready2loop website. Many thanks, guys. So that brings us to the close of this webinar. And I don't know how many times we've said it now, but we're very excited about releasing and launching this 6th out of our 8 value chain layers. We will invite you to share the news about the new layer on ready2loop, and also to, if you have colleagues who'd like to re-see this webinar, then we'll make it available on the ready2loop website as well, so they can see the ins and outs before they actually go in and make themselves a profile and test their readiness. So thank you very much, everybody on Zoom and also on LinkedIn Direct live stream for following the webinar. We hope you enjoy playing with and using the ready2loop website and the platform to test your circular readiness. And we hope it also brings you a lot of insights. We've worked very hard to ask the right questions to you, so that you can ask yourselves the right questions, and also to furnish you with a number of tools that can help you to exactly accelerate your readiness from your current circularity readiness level to an even better one. So many thanks and good luck with your circularity journeys. Bye-bye.